Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 180.
Okay, well, welcome back, Learn True Health listeners. We have the honor today, of course, of interviewing our favorite host, Ashley James. This is part 2 of our interview, and we are going to pick up right where we left off.
Thanks so much, Jen.
So basically, you had a major life shift when you started on this particular supplement program. Would you say that that is the biggest thing that was, apart from what happened when you were 6? Because it sounds like you had a really huge shift at 6 years old, getting on supplements and getting off certain foods, and maybe almost like it happened again kind of a time, didn't it? In your, was it mid-20s or late 20s, right?
This would be early 30s is when I got on the supplements.
Early 30s.
And I would say I question, I really believe that cleaning up the diet's so important. But now I'll give you an example. I've been on these supplements for years, and if I go and eat a food once in a while, like really once in a while, that I know in the past would have floored me, would have made me really sick. My body has been built up so strong from what I believe is filling all my nutrient tanks. And now I'm not deplete in minerals. Now I'm not deplete in vitamins. Now I'm not deplete in my fatty acids or my amino acids. So these micronutrient building blocks of the body, my tanks are full. And if I eat something that is my body is a negative thing for my body, it handles it so much more gently. In the past, if before I filled up my nutrient tanks and I ate certain foods, I was down and out. I mean, it really, like I said, we ate from the dollar menu, and it was 2 hours I couldn't function. I felt nauseous. I felt bloated. I had brain fog like crazy. I just wanted to sit there like a sloth and watch junk TV and just zone out. And that's what crappy food did to me. And now,
Yep.
So like the other day, we were at Red Robin and we were being treated by my son's grandmother, and we didn't want to rock the boat. They put Swiss cheese on my burger, and I thought, you know what? Okay, I'm not gonna make a big deal. I'll just eat it, and it'll be a fun experiment because I haven't had dairy in a really long time, and I know what dairy does to me. I didn't have any problem. I didn't have any throat clearing. I didn't have any, sore throat. I didn't have any bloating or gas cramps or anything I would have had in the past. I mean, it was like I didn't even eat it. And this happens now. Now that I've filled up my nutrient tanks, I can, if I eat sugar, for example, obviously not cane sugar, we know I'm allergic to it, but if I were to eat something sugary, which I don't do often, but if I do now, my blood sugar's normal. My body handles it. 10 years ago, I would be a mess. And I spent a few years when I had at the peak of my chronic adrenal fatigue, the description of my life was, it's like I woke up with a hangover every morning, feeling like I downed a bottle of tequila the night before and got hit by a Mack truck. That is what I woke up to. That intense feeling of a hangover. That was what eating the wrong foods did to me, and also having chronic adrenal fatigue and being depleted in nutrients. So I really feel that although it is so important to clean up the diet, I feel like the supplements I took, the quality of supplements was what my body needed because I was so deplete. And it made the biggest difference. Like when I cut gluten out, I felt a very subtle difference. Like, oh, I think I have more energy, and I think I got better sleep last night. Like that's kind of the difference, like these little subtle things. I started taking these supplements and it was bam, huge, giant shift. I have a client who, this is a few years ago, she called me up and she was in her 40s and had 25 pounds to lose and was really sick of it because she'd always been, a normal body weight, and because she had adult asthma. Her boss, who was also her doctor, because she was a office manager for a medical clinic, had her on these steroids because her medications stopped working. The regular, bronchodilators and all that stopped working, and she needed more intense intervention. And, the doctor never stops to ask, well, why is the body creating asthma? Right? Because the doctors are just told, well, it's genetic or whatever. Like the body just breaks and you need to give it drugs, right? But the MDs aren't taught to say, well, what is the root cause of this and how can we reverse it, right? That's just not in their wheelhouse. And so, I knowing what is the actual cause, because I studied with this doctor for so many years, this naturopathic physician that created these supplements. I said to her, "Well, it's really interesting, actually, that the lungs will exhibit this asthma when they don't have enough of the raw building blocks they need, and one of the raw building blocks is essential fatty acids." And so, I got her on a protocol that was all the 90 essential nutrients plus the added support for lungs. So getting the lungs back to health. She actually called me back a month later because she wanted to get her sister and her niece on the supplements because they both had health issues. And she said, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm off all of my medications. I'm off of the steroids. I'm off of the bronchodilators. I'm off of everything." She's had asthma her entire adult life.
Wow.
1 month of being on the supplements, she's off of it. She's off of all the medications, and her boss, who's also her doctor, took her off of all of them. And she said, "Do you guys want to know like what happened? What I did? I took these supplements and I changed my diet, and they just did not care." This is
Wow.
every
The
time this happens.
doctors.
The doctors don't care. Now there's, I'm not going to write off every single doctor. There are
Right.
good people out there who happen to be doctors, but every time I've helped someone reverse their type 2 diabetes and they go back to their doctor who's been prescribing the metformin for years or other drugs, and they get off of these drugs, the doctor gets them off the drugs after they see the lab work. The doctors don't want to hear that it was supplements and diet, and that it's not, because they are taught to just give drugs. It's very frustrating that the drug dealers don't want to know how to actually heal the root cause. It would threaten their bottom line. It would threaten their existence. It would threaten their ability to pay their mortgage and put their kid through college and put food on their plate. So, they don't want to hear it.
Right.
But
Well,
there are good doctors out there. I know there's some great doctors listening to this show, and so with that, she ended up helping her sister with diabetes and her niece with acne. Again, removing the 12 bad foods and just adding in just the foundational supplements to their diet. So I see this all the time. It happened to me, and I've been helping others. And I see it all the time where people are taking their health into their own hands. And that's why I love doing these interviews and doing the Learn to Health podcast, because we can learn from so many experts and we can take our health into our own hands and really improve it so much more than a doctor you see once or twice a year could ever do.
and when it comes to supplementing, I mean, I know you had amazing your husband. I mean, we've heard stories of people having really medical changes, not just, feeling a little better, having a little more energy, but major medical changes with these essential nutrients that you're talking about. Do you think people can achieve that by just sort of putting together a program on their own, or is there something unique about the particular way that they're formed? You know what I mean? Is it something that someone can figure out on their own, that
I
they could put together a program, or do you
I did
really?
that for years. I
Okay.
equate it to, so the first month I got on these particular supplements, right? Like they're shipped to me, we took them, and then we ran out. And we didn't, like, we hadn't gotten on some kind of auto ship. We hadn't like planned to have
Right.
more or budgeted, like we hadn't figured out like, oh, we ran out, we need to get more. And so we ended up buying more, but there was a gap of a few days that we didn't have them. And I did not want to go a day without the nutrients. So we went to Super Supplements, which is like, like a supplement barn basically, here in the Seattle area. And I walk in, and it's a great, great supplement store. It has like just every single supplement on the planet that you could possibly want. And I walk back to the wall of liquid minerals, complete wall. And I spent about 45 minutes there looking at every single bottle. And it drives my husband up the wall because I am a label reader and I've learned
Hmm.
from experience, but I'm a label reader. So I sat there and I looked at what kind of calcium, what kind of magnesium, how many milligrams. And I figured out that to get this one bottle of liquid minerals that has the calcium and the lots of magnesium, which is what my body needed. And I noticed it was making me sleep like incredibly deep. Like I would take it right before bed
Mm.
and I had the deepest, most restful, restorative sleep. And when I didn't take it at night before I went to bed, I didn't get that same quality of sleep. And so I was like hell bent on having that quality of sleep. And I figured out that it would cost me roughly 2.5 times the amount because I had to
Mhm.
buy 3 bottles of what was on the shelf at Super Supplements to equate to the same amount of minerals that were in this one bottle. And that really hit me because I thought, okay, I bought this bottle from this company, but I could get it from any company. There's a bunch of them, they're all probably good. Well, I hadn't had any results from taking Trader Joe's supplements, right? And
Mhm. Right.
like I was having with this company. So I bought a bunch of stuff from Super Supplements. And I actually just my husband and I are clearing out our house. We read that book where this wonderful woman in Japan tells you that get rid of anything in your house that it doesn't bring you joy. So we've been getting
Mm.
rid of it's really a cool book. It's all about going through every single possession you have and just holding it going, does this bring you joy? And if it doesn't, get rid of it, just donate it, give it away.
Right.
We've given away like 7 bags of stuff and we're really clearing out just energetically clearing out our house of things that no longer bring us joy. And so I went through boxes of old supplements recently, and there was stuff as old as 2006. So I've been taking supplements, on and off forever. And
Mhm.
I went through a huge box of old supplements that were like just halfway through, or I hadn't, fully taken, and it didn't work. It didn't do anything, so I, put it away, or just ended up in this box and collecting dust. And that's what happened. We went to Super Supplements. I grabbed a bunch of supplements and I didn't notice anything. And what it felt like was going into a supplement store blindfolded and throwing a dart and just going, okay, whatever my dart hits, I'm going to take. I mean, that is like the equivalent of just going and taking supplements because
Right.
we have no idea about the quality. In fact, I've talked to a university student who, as part of his lab experiment, they took vitamin C off the shelves. They went to a supplement store and took all the vitamin C's they could find and they tested them for purity. And they discovered that there was not one brand of vitamin C on the shelf that they could find, like, just sold over the counter, that
Mhm.
actually contained the amount of vitamin C that it said on the bottle, and even a few of them didn't contain any vitamin C. And I have seen similar studies with ginkgo biloba, for example, as an
Mhm.
herb that, I mean, there's no regulation in the supplement industry. It's really just the wild, wild west. And, it's like good luck. You buy a supplement, off a shelf and it's like, good luck. I hope it has in it what it says it does. And I hope it's
It's a free
bioavailable.
for all.
Yeah,
It's a bit of a free for
I
all.
hope it's in the right ratio because I get so livid when I see like these supplements where they're in the wrong ratio or where they sell selenium without copper. Selenium and copper have to be in a 50-1 ratio, a 50
Mhm.
to 1, because if you take selenium without copper, it leaches copper from your body, and copper is a cofactor in producing collagen and elastin and pigment. So you can get
Mhm.
alopecia, you can get a heart attack, you can get wrinkles, like you get gray hair. You can get an aneurysm from a copper
Mhm.
deficiency,
Mhm.
and just like calcium, magnesium. If you take too much magnesium, it leaches calcium from your bones. If you take too much calcium, it leaches magnesium from your muscles, and that also affects your nervous system because in every synaptic gap of your nervous system there are minerals. There's calcium, magnesium, and they're used to contract and relax muscle. And so it needs to be in a certain ratio unless you have more of a deficiency. And that's why you want to really talk to an expert because I had to sit down
Mhm.
and talk
Mhm.
to someone to help. They helped me order what I needed. And so, yeah, and until you've studied supplements and you understand their effect on your body and you understand their quality and where they came from. This company, by the way, that I've been buying consistently taking their supplements. I actually toured one of their facilities and I saw how they make the supplements and I saw the quality with my own eyes
Mhm.
because I think there's just no quality control, and so we have to really take results.
I
We have
mean,
to
in
take
the industry, in
in the
general, in
industry,
the industry.
there's
Mhm.
no quality control, which is actually a good thing because you don't want the FDA controlling the supplements because the FDA is in the pockets of Big Pharma, and Big Pharma doesn't want us to be healthy. And I know that sounds like a giant conspiracy theory, but when you see that there's a revolving door of executives being hired, FDA executives are hired by Big Pharma, and Big Pharma executives are hired by the FDA, just like
Mhm.
Monsanto.
Mhm.
You know they're all in each other's pockets, and yes, on some level they want to protect humans. It's not like they're all evil, but there's enough room to manipulate us so that they could take away or control supplements to the point where they're deemed ineffective. An
Mhm.
example of this would be the daily amount that they say to take. So you look at a bottle and it says this is 100% of your amount, your RDA, right?
Right.
RDA, the daily recommended allowance, right, of this nutrient is the minimum. People think it's the maximum. It's the minimum requirement to not have disease. That doesn't mean that this dose, this 100%, this is your 100%, this 50 milligrams is your 100% of vitamin C, RDA. That is the minimum amount needed to not have scurvy. That does
Got it.
not mean that you're going to, it still means you're starved. If I put 5%, if I fill your gas tank up 5%, I mean that just means your car is going to get home. That doesn't mean you can go run a marathon or you can go do a long road trip with your car. You want to
Mhm.
fill up your nutrient tank,
Mhm.
and so this idea of RDA is so outdated and makes it confusing so that people end up not taking enough supplements. And then sometimes people will overdo it, like take mass doses of vitamin C and cause themselves to have diarrhea. So it's all
Mhm.
about balance, making sure that it's bioavailable, so the body is actually absorbing it and utilizing it, making sure it's in the right ratios. Like I said, vitamins need to all be in the right ratio together to be fully utilized, and especially if there's cofactors like selenium and copper being cofactors.
Mhm.
And the quality needs to be there. That they need to make sure that in the factory that they don't do skip batch testing. That's another thing I learned about the industry is that most supplement companies, when they get, let's say the supplement company makes a pill, right? They squeeze together Centrum, a pill or something. They buy like their selenium powder from this supplier and their copper from this supplier and their vitamin C powder from this supplier. And they just get these giant shipments of this barrel of powder. And then they take the powder, they squeeze it into a capsule, they put it into a bottle, and they sell it to you. But the company itself does not test to make sure that that was actually vitamin C powder.
Mhm.
They don't test every shipment. They do skip batch testing, which means that every second shipment, so that might be once a year or twice a year, they're testing it. And there's so much room for error. And that's why they can, on the shelves, you can take supplements and you can have them tested in the lab and see that it's not actually what it says on the bottle because there's so much room for error.
And when
And
you toured the company that you are talking about with the supplements that you had such amazing
mhm.
results with, that company tests every batch
Yeah,
of what they get?
they
Yeah, okay.
do, and they actually have their third party lab certified to test them so that
Mm.
there's a third party keeping them in check.
Right.
And that's I feel, well, I got my health results from it. I've helped others get their health results from it, but the fact that
But
they're,
you understand why. You
yeah,
understand why it's so effective because of the quality, because of the formulation, because everything's in proper ratios and so forth. It's not just a mystery as to why people are getting these medical grade kind of results, right? It's,
right.
yeah,
Right, the
awesome.
quality's there, and then that's just, I could not, I desperately wanted to get that quality of supplement off the shelf. It would just be nice to just go anywhere and buy any bottle of vitamin C or buy any bottle of minerals and get the same result, but I wasn't. And I know I've come across people who say, "Oh, I've taken supplements and they don't work." Well, this is why, because it's like, imagine if there's no regulation for the gasoline industry and it was any percentage of gasoline is what you're putting into your car. Well, this is only 2% gasoline, but they don't,
Right.
and of course your car isn't going to run. That's the same. It's if it's unregulated and you took something and maybe it wasn't in the right ratio, maybe it wasn't bioavailable, Maybe it was like a really weak dose, right?
Hmm.
What's really interesting, and you can Google this, is that Centrum doesn't get absorbed by the body. And so the in Florida, there's one company that has porta potties, and they say that Centrum Silver is they can see that it's actually Centrum Silver when they clean out their porta potties. There's a ton of little Centrum Silvers left, and they know it's Centrum Silver
Wow.
because you can even read it's Centrum Silver. It says it, and if your body doesn't even digest it or absorb it, of course it doesn't work. So,
Of course. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's interesting. The two things that, correct me if I'm wrong, but there were really three things. The three things that probably have made the most difference, would you say, in your health journey would be for sure cleaning up the diet, right?
Mhm.
And then the thing that was a fine tuning piece for you was taking that IgG test, which told you not only, obviously to get off all the pesticides, get on all organic, all non-GMO, and all that, but the foods that specifically were causing further inflammation for your body. So I would love it if you'd share with the listeners, how is it that if somebody wanted to, you know, learn about the 12 foods to avoid, and maybe learn about where they could get that IgG test. And then, of course, learning about how they can get on this kind of a supplement program
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
guidance. Can you talk a little bit about those
Right.
those things?
It was really cool to get the IgG test, and in fact it's you don't even have to have your blood drawn. I mean, they can do a blood draw, but the test that I did was a dry blood test, and so they prick your finger and you just basically drop a few drops of blood onto a piece of paper. There's like little circles on the piece of paper, and you put your blood on it, and then they send it into the lab, and the lab scans it however they scan it, and they have this whole list of foods. That's really cool. You know, you probably know if you have an IgA response because it happens right away after you eat the food. But like I said with IgG, it can take 24 hours, sometimes longer, for you to really feel the symptom, or sometimes the low grade inflammation is just so systemic and just so constant because you're eating that food all the time that you don't realize that that's what's causing it. Also, the body changes. I'm avoiding bananas right now. I might be able to eat them in a few years. Right after my pregnancy,
Right.
it's really interesting, but right after my pregnancy, I developed an allergy to eggs, and I love eggs, right? I had to eat lots of them to get pregnant. And so I stopped eating eggs for a year, and then I reintroduced them, and my body was fine. So we can come back to it. Sometimes if we eat one thing that's too much of the time, especially if we have leaky gut syndrome. And I'll quickly cover leaky gut syndrome for those who don't know what it is. The lining of the gut has microvilli, and these little villi and microvilli are like finger-like projections, like a shag carpet in the small intestine, and they're meant to increase the surface area of the small intestine so that you can absorb nutrition. When we have undigested food particles like gluten, which we cannot fully digest, our stomach is not meant to digest grains from grass plants. So think of the stomachs of a cow. The cow's like four chambers in the stomach, and he continually regurgitates his food to chew his cud and then digest or swallow again to digest more. So the cow needs to like chew his cud and like three or four chambers of the stomach or whatever it is for a cow in order to fully digest grass, right?
Mm,
We do not have that. So we just are not meant to digest some of the foods that are in our food system. And so what happens is
mhm.
gluten and other molecules will go through and start to tear these microvilli in our small intestines, just micro tears. Now, if you have an inflammatory response to these foods, it's going to cause further inflammation locally in the area, which makes it even harder for the body to absorb nutrition. But over time, these micro tears will allow tiny, tiny, tiny undigested particles to go and enter the bloodstream. And then the bloodstream, the immune system, which surrounds the gut, notices that this is a foreign particle and attacks it like it's a foreign particle, and we develop an allergy to it. So something like a banana. I'm eating a banana. A tiny bit of it gets into my bloodstream because there's finger-like projections that have micro tears from
Mm-hmm.
gluten, for example, which acts like a lawnmower to the gut. And in some cases where it's celiac, all celiac is the body had such an inflammatory response to that that it's noticeable. But on a
Mm-hmm.
micro level, if you have a micro, if leaky gut syndrome were on one end of the spectrum, celiac would be on the other. So that's kind of the spectrum. And some people
Mm-hmm.
can stop eating gluten and not notice anything significantly at all. But know that if you cut out gluten, you're more likely over time healing your gut and increasing the ability for your gut to heal. So much so, I'll give you an example. My husband was allergic to chicken his entire adult life. If he ate chicken, he had diarrhea. Because there's so much diarrhea in this episode, I'm sorry. And so he just stayed away from chicken. Well, when we went gluten free, a few months after being gluten free, he tested it and he ate chicken and he had no problems. And
Wow.
and yeah, I mean it's really cool. After going gluten free for a few months, your gut can heal to the point where you may be able to eat foods that you were reacting to because those foods were
Mm-hmm.
getting into your bloodstream. So there's one thing that I healed, using diet. You cannot out supplement a bad diet. Just like
Mm-hmm.
you can't out exercise, and I learned this from personal experience. I was an exercise fanatic. You cannot out exercise a bad diet. You can't out
Mm-hmm.
supplement a bad diet. So it has to be hand in hand. We need to like bring into account lifestyle. We need to,
Mm-hmm.
you can't just get no sleep and expect to take a bunch of supplements and be healthy, right? So we have to
Right.
do more than just food and supplements. So one good company is the Great Plains Lab. I mean, there's a bunch of them. If you Google IgG home test, and I can put
Okay.
that in the show notes. But I personally talked to Great Plains Lab. I really like them. They're very ethical. They actually have a very high standards for calibrating their machines. They have some really great tests too. You can test your glyphosate levels, which is
Mm-hmm.
Roundup, and so you can see,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can actually work with their specialists at their lab, talk to the specialists in terms of how to detox your body of glyphosate if your levels show up high. So they have really cool tests for candida and for different toxicity and environmental pollutants. So if you're kind of experiencing weird symptoms and no doctor really knows what's wrong, it's kind of fun to do these labs if you can set aside some money to do them, because they'll paint a really interesting picture of what's going on. But before you go,
Would you recommend that people do that before, like for you, you had such
no,
an
no,
amazing shift in
I'm saying
supplement.
I think
Yeah.
everyone should be taking really great supplements and cleaning up their diet and seeing what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they want to do like lab work cuz it's fun, I think everyone would benefit from doing an IgG blood test, cuz hey, if it comes back that you're not allergic, I think great. But what if it came back that you're allergic to something you're eating every day, and that I'm removing that one thing? Like I removed one thing, cane sugar, and my chronic diarrhea stopped. Like that to me is so worth it. And I noticed that when I ate bananas, I felt kind of crazy for about an hour, and I kind of just chalked it up to, oh well, maybe it's too high sugar. I don't know.
Right. Right.
It was not too high sugar. It was that bananas were making me crazy for an hour because they, my body was reacting to them.
A
So
chemical, yeah,
yeah.
reaction. Now,
So
do you need a does one need a doctor to order any of these tests, or can one
I
order them?
did it through my naturopath because that was
Okay.
like for me it was kind of fun. But I
Mm-hmm.
see, googling it and looking into it, I see that there are home kits. So,
Okay.
you know, Great Plains Lab was a great place to start. And then you could just Google IgG home blood
Home
test,
test.
and you may be able to do it all from home. You may not need to you utilize a doctor because I mean, it's a doctor does not have to sit down with you and explain the results. It says it right there, right?
Right.
I didn't even sit down with my doctor. I just picked up the results from her clinic because I mean, I just looked at it. Oh, bananas and cane sugar. Okay, I'll stop eating them. And it made a huge difference. In terms of the supplements, and I am so thrilled that Jen, you are one of the health coaches there. TakeYourSupplements.com, which I mentioned you guys a bunch. You guys are the ones who help people get on the supplements that I take, and so TakeYourSupplements.com is a great place to go. And of course, you, Jen, have been helping people for years now, balance, like, figure out what supplements people need, and also the 12 bad foods, which I actually put on my cookbook that's on the website Learn True Health.
Excellent.
The 12 bad foods, but I can run through them really fast. And that is, no barley, wheat, rye, and oats. But if you go grain free, like, you can have rice once in a while, but if you go grain free, you don't have to worry about gluten, right? Like, if you're worried about avoiding gluten, just go grain free, and then you don't have to worry about it. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, I'm grain free. And it doesn't sound as painful as it is, because, if I want rice, I do cauliflower rice, and actually, we now prefer it. It tastes more delicious. And there's so many wonderful alternatives. Like, when I want pasta, I have lentil pasta, and it is even more delicious. It has twice the protein, half the carbs, or something like that. It's way low in carbs. It's way more protein, and it has a flavor to it that's wonderful. And my son loves it. He actually prefers lentil pasta to any other kind of pasta. And so there's all kinds of ways to go grain free, which is a lot of fun. And I noticed a big difference. Of course, I had Dr. William Davis on the show recently, who wrote the book Wheat Belly. And it's so funny that my husband and I went gluten free a month before his book came out. And so when his book came out, we were all new and shiny and excited about being gluten free. And that book's amazing. And I totally recommend listening to that episode if you haven't already. I did it a few weeks ago. But Dr. William Davis, basically, he advocates for taking supplements, being
Mm-hmm.
grain free, and being sugar free. And I'm like, oh, well, there you go. That is almost,
Confirmation.
yeah, it's confirmation, because it's almost the whole picture. Not quite the whole picture. It's almost the whole picture to get my health back and to help a lot of the people that I've passed this information on to. So no barley, wheat, rye, or oats. For the reason that it ruins digestion, and the body, it really isn't meant to eat it. Also, which is really interesting, is when you take a schizophrenic and you get them off of barley, wheat, rye, and oats, you get them off of sugar and grains, they stop exhibiting outbreaks of schizophrenia. And when you put them back on grains, they have outbursts of schizophrenic episodes. So if that's what grains do to a schizophrenic, what do you think it's doing to us?
Mm-hmm.
After my husband and I went gluten-free and started taking these supplements, one thing he said to me is, I feel even keeled for the first time in my life. Because in the past, he had been, struggling with mood swings, almost like bipolar, like depression and, anxiety. And he was just really for years struggling with these swings of emotion up and down. And it could be, maybe it was because of food, maybe it was because of blood sugar, whatever it was. But when we went gluten free and started taking the supplements, that was one of the first things he noticed, was he felt emotionally grounded and even keel. And that was a
Wow.
big difference, because he was
Big deal.
he was on drugs at one point to balance his emotions. That's how bad it was. And so of course he doesn't need it. Here, we don't need drugs for so many people. And so I'm so excited that we can help people get off drugs. So there's no barley, wheat, rye, or oats, no fried food, which is kind of obvious if you look at the Bible Belt of the country, where more fried food is eaten in the South,
Mm-hmm.
because culturally, the African American population, the slaves, were given scraps to eat, and so they fried it, because you fry anything and it tastes better. And so in the areas where slavery was more concentrated are areas that to this day still maintain those cooking standards. And heart disease is higher, and death rate, I mean, we're dying like in our early 60s on average in those areas where fried food is consumed more. And in areas where fried food is consumed the least, we live like 12 or more years longer. We have less heart disease. So I mean, it's kind of obvious, like it adds up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fried food is, it's oxidative damage to the body. So it's like shooting tiny little bullets throughout our DNA, and damaging ourselves, our 37 point something trillion cells every day if we eat fried food. So no fried food. And if you want fries, you can bake them. You can bake your sweet potato. No oil. And this is something that I've struggled with, because there's so many health benefits to healthy fats and coconut oil and olive oil. but the no oil, this doctor, observed that most people are actually consuming rancid oil, and rancid oil is basically is oxidative damage. And so he
Hmm.
says, he wants people on butter or rendered fat or lard instead. So I kind of struggle with that one. I went off of oil for a few years, and then I've decided to occasionally incorporate coconut oil into my life. I take my family does ghee,
Hmm.
GHEE, which is clarified butter. We actually found the best price for organic grass-fed ghee is on Amazon, and we get it on Amazon Fresh, Amazon Prime, and it's something like $8 for a giant jar that's normally $14 in the store. And so we have found is the best price. My second favorite ghee is actually also on Amazon, is called Eat Good Fat. And that one tends to not be in stock, but when it's in stock, it's incredible ghee. I really love it. And it's a giant, like 32-ounce jar, so it lasts a while. So
Do you
we
know the name of the one that was like $8 or $9? Do you know the brand on that one?
I will pull it
Or
up.
make
I'll pull it up as we're talking, because I
and
can
put it in the show notes for everyone?
I'll put it. That's what I'll do. I'll put it in the
Yeah.
show notes, because um I just hope I don't make it so popular that they run out or they increase the price. That'd be
Oh,
funny.
right. Okay,
But
you don't want to tell us.
no,
Okay,
I
that's okay.
I want to share. It's Organic Valley ghee. The 13-ounce jar is $8.75 on Amazon Prime, whereas in the store I've bought it for as much as like $14 or $15 for the same jar.
For
So
Organic Valley is
yeah,
the
Organic
butter.
Valley ghee on Amazon Prime. So that's, we use ghee, but I now as a supplement use MCT oil and the pure C8 MCT oil. Don't get a mixture of C6 and C8. It has to be C8 MCT oil, and I do that mixed with ghee in the blender with some hot organic coffee in the morning to make our creamy and delicious bulletproof coffee. The reason why I do that is I wanted to increase my saturated fats. Just like when I ate more eggs, I noticed a huge leap in my health and my hormone health. And I thought, well, am I oversaturated? Have I got myself to the point where I've eaten enough fat? I don't know. Let's see. And so I already eat very ketogenic, like very paleo to begin with. I eat lots of vegetables and healthy, humanely raised, grass-fed meat. And so we started adding lots of healthy fat to our diet through our coffee in the morning. And I noticed a huge jump. And I've been on supplements for years. I've been eating healthy for years, but I'm always about getting even more health and kind of doing
Hmm.
what they call biohacking, experimenting on my body. And so now I'm consuming a lot more fat because I'm putting MCT oil and ghee into my coffee, and it just took my energy to a whole new level. My sleep is even deeper. What I found is I don't even need melatonin to fall asleep at night or to wind down at night. My body naturally wants to go to bed around 9 o'clock. Like naturally, I sort of feel that wave coming down, and I ride it. And instead of trying to stay up watch TV, I go to bed early. I lie
Hmm.
down, and my body just wants to fall asleep. Even though I got a lot going on and I might be stressed, I found that my brain doesn't just race. I naturally fall asleep. I have a deep sleep, and I'm waking up hours earlier, way more rested and full of energy. And so that came about from adding more healthy fat to my diet. So
Hmm.
I do have,
Excellent.
even though one of the 12 bad foods is oil, I use it responsibly, but I acknowledge that I'm possibly getting oxidative damage because any oil goes rancid when it's exposed to air. So I've just, I'm playing with it,
Hmm.
knowing the risk. So no barley, wheat, rye, and oats, no fried food, no oil in a bottle, no carbonated beverages before or during a meal. So obviously, I don't think anyone should drink their calories, like in terms of sugar. Like, just get rid of the Coca-Cola, or if you really need one, get one with stevia. But carbonated beverages, like even seltzer, unless it's Perrier, actually, because Perrier is acidic, and this is the interesting part, is that there are certain carbonated beverages that are naturally they come from the earth, like they come from a spring already carbonated. And that's really interesting. So that Perrier is one of them that you can have with a meal because it's acidic. But
Hmm.
but artificially made carbonated beverages like beer, for example, or not beer, no, Coca-Cola, for example, lowers the stomach or alkalizes the stomach acid, so neutralizes the stomach acid, and that leads to the inability to fully digest and then fully absorb nutrition. So it's just counterproductive to getting nutrition in our body. So if you want to drink something that's carbonated, just don't do it near your mealtime.
And then what about for those who tend to like the alkaline water from, the Kangen machines or
Don't
whatever for
drink
help?
it
Yeah,
near your mealtime. Anything that
right.
alkalizes your stomach acid, don't do it near mealtime. The stomach is smart and we shouldn't mess with it. It has this
Mhm.
wave of acid. So we start to smell the food that's cooking. Our mouth starts salivating, our stomach starts gurgling, our stomach starts excreting pepsinogen, which is all these wonderful digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid. And then we swallow food, it goes down into the stomach, the esophageal sphincter closes because stomach acid. So the esophageal sphincter is a sphincter that on top of the stomach that closes off from the esophagus, which is that long pipe from the mouth to the stomach. It closes the stomach. So imagine if you have a washing machine or a dishwasher, do you want it running while it's open? That's what
Right.
happens if you
No.
don't have enough stomach acid. If it doesn't reach acidic levels, then the esophageal sphincter doesn't close, and it's like you're running your dishwasher with the door open. And that's why we get heartburn. It splashes up and into the esophagus and it gets heartburn. And then what do? We follow the MD's advice and we take an antacid, which neutralizes the stomach acid even more. So we might have a temporary relief of heartburn, but we have a long term that means that the next meal, and the next meal, and the next meal, we're going to continue having heartburn because we have lowered our ability. We've created weak stomach acid. So we want to support strong stomach acid. And one of the ways to do that is increase the salt in your food because the body takes salt is sodium chloride. The body takes the chloride molecule from the sodium, it breaks it apart, takes the chloride and makes hydrochloric acid. So we want to. So those who are on salt restricted diets end up with digestive issues because they don't even have the raw building blocks to make hydrochloric acid. So we want to salt our
Right.
food to taste, but choose healthy salt. Like Real Salt is a great brand. It comes from deep in the mines of Utah. It's naturally, preserved. Has trace minerals in it. It's called Real Salt is a brand. You can get it pretty much at any health food store or Amazon. So good healthy salt is great, and then calcium. We need calcium to calcium is what the body uses to excrete pepsinogen. If you're calcium deficient, you often end up with digestive issues. So, in terms of not diluting the stomach acid, we want to support healthy stomach acid. So you could drink some apple cider vinegar with your meal, like right at the beginning of the meal. You could take digestive enzymes, which I highly recommend. And then what happens is you imagine the like a wave. So the stomach acid, that it gets more acidic, more acidic, more acidic, more acidic, and it depends on how long. If you ate a steak, it's going to be doing it for about 2 hours. It's going to be digesting for about 2 hours. If you ate an apple, which you should never eat fruit with meat because an apple takes like 20 minutes to digest. A steak takes 2 hours or 1 to 2 hours, depending on how much you ate. And after about 20 minutes, the apple is just going to start fermenting in your stomach, and that's what causes a lot of gas. So it's called food combining. And then what happens is when the body is getting ready to empty the digested contents into the small intestine, it doesn't want to empty it fully acidic, right? So then the body in the last part of digestive phase in the stomach will then alkalize the stomach juices so that when it dumps it into the small intestines don't get burned by the acid, and now the small intestines can start absorbing it, and also the small intestines then in that first part of the small intestines will have the gallbladder excrete the digestive juices, the bile, to break down fat. That's where fat gets broken down is in the next part of digestion. And if we mess with that process, we now have food that's not fully digested, that's not able to be absorbed, that's kind of just half digested and messed with. And that leads to leaky gut. It leads to dysbiosis, so that the gut biome is out of whack. And all we were doing was enjoying our Coca-Cola with our meal, So we really want to be careful and not mess with the system. We want to do what we can to support the system.
Well, and one thing I wanted to mention when you're talking about the different processes of digestion is that what I love about the digestive enzyme that was designed by this doctor that we're working with is that it addresses all three of those different levels of process. It's not just like taking a regular digestive enzyme where you're just getting the digestive enzyme, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a three-in-one product, which is so much more efficient. So when people have had years of damage and they're not digesting their food, one of the first things that I always want to make sure that that we address right away is making sure that they're not experiencing bloating and this food just sort of sitting there and all this gas and distension of the stomach. I mean, that's a real health
Mm-hmm.
potential crisis, because we know that then the people aren't absorbing their nutrients, and it can just be like a domino effect if the digestion is off, and people are not having a strong enough stomach acid to break down their food. So
Mm-hmm.
I love helping people with their digestion because it's actually one of the easiest things, in my opinion, to help bring into balance with the tools that we have.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, I had heartburn for many years, and it's because of this information that I was able to heal my heartburn. And I was on heartburn drugs. I mean, it was horrible. And when I learned this about digestion and taking digestive enzymes, you don't have to be on them for the rest of your life. That's the cool thing about some supplements is you take them because you need that support at the time, and then the body takes over. So digestive enzymes, you don't have to take them for forever. It's just if you have a digestive issue, or if you're pregnant, or if you have heartburn, it brings your body back into balance, and then your body's going to take over and it's going to be fine. Like, you don't need to mess with the system unless the system's broken. But things like
especially if you're supporting it with proper diet and
right.
knowing that you need to salt your food and taking the baseline nutrients that we know produce, like you're not basically taking a band-aid, you're getting to the
Mhm.
root issue and giving the body the raw nutrients that it needs and eliminating the things that are getting in the way from proper pH balance essentially in the stomach.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, moving on to the rest of the bad foods, corn and soy were added to the list. They're the most recent add-ons to the list because of GMO, and there's just a mountain of evidence that corn and soy are no longer healthy for us. Even organic, even, it's not healthy for the majority of the population. Now, um, if you feel amazing, if you're like incredible health and you eat organic soy that is 100% non-GMO, and you feel amazing, then stick with it. You know what I mean? This whole list is like a guideline for the best to get the best health possible. But this doctor has spent years, working with people, and he sees that corn and soy, when removed, in addition to the rest of these foods, helps to clean up the diet. No nitrates or nitrates. So sodium nitrate, potassium nitrite are preservatives found in meat. They make the meat not go gray. So when meat goes gray, it looks like a dead cadaver and you don't want to eat it. So in order to make bacon look appealing and stay on the shelf longer, they and be consumed by the population, they use sodium nitrate or potassium nitrite. Most deli meats, most smoked meats have either sodium nitrate or sodium nitrate, or nitrite. Hot dogs. The problem with these is that they cross the blood-brain barrier. They cause huge damage to the kidneys. They actually clog the kidneys and can cause kidney disease. If you know someone who has kidney disease, tell them to stop eating deli meats. I mean, you can get like Applegate, for example, is typically organic and nitrate and nitrite free. So they can switch brands. Yes, it costs more. They absolutely nitrate meat cost more. It's like a
Nitrate free.
nitrate or nitrate free meat will cost more. But if you want your kidney function back, you got to do it. I've actually seen people get their kidney function back, and this was the first thing they did, and it really does play a role. So if it's clogging our kidneys and getting past the blood-brain barrier and causing damage to the body, it's not worth it. It's not worth eating that $1 hot dog when we can pay
Mhm.
$1.50 and get the hot dog that doesn't have nitrates in it. It's just worth it, especially kids. My heart cries out for those children that are being fed all these nitrates and nitrites, and it's just destroying their body and causing illness. So that's on the bad food list. And then finally, Meat that is not overcooked. Meat that is not overcooked and baked skins of root vegetables, and I'll explain. Uh, if you char your meat, so red meat, for example, or if you burn, your chicken a little bit, if there's any kind of blackening or browning or grill marks, that's causes heterocyclic amines, which are hugely carcinogenic. It's proven to be carcinogenic. So if you want to, you can still barbecue, just wrap it in tin foil or don't. Basically, don't burn it. There's also these mats that you can get that you can put on the grill, and so it just prevents those grill marks. So that's heterocyclic amines. If you're going to eat red meat, try to eat as rare as possible, because overcooked red meat does cause heterocyclic amines. And same with the root vegetables that have been baked. So dry heat has a reaction to root vegetable skins and causes heterocyclic amines, which are cancer causing. So what you do is, if you're going to have a baked potato or baked sweet potato or yam, simply don't eat the skin. If you want to eat the skin, don't use dry heat. Instead, you can boil them, steam them, cut them up and put them in a soup. So that's, I mean, it's kind of weird, but it's so worth it. Like, to me, I just don't want to eat a whole plate of cancer. So I'll just make those little tweaks. But those are the 12 bad foods. And then what to eat instead? Lots of vegetables, organic, of course, healthy meats that are grass-fed or wild-caught, and lots of healthy fats. Everything in moderation, of course. And so that's pretty much the dietary guidelines, and it's so broad. I mean, you can still eat like a king or a queen. Just avoid those 12 bad foods.
Hmm. Makes a big difference. So awesome. So if people want to talk with a health coach about how to get on a supplement program and more guidance about changing their diet and get support in doing so, they can just go to takeyoursupplements.com, right?
Yes, well, and I'd love for them to talk to you or any of the health coaches there. It it made such a big difference in my life that I would love to know that we're helping so many more people. And the supplements are affordable. Like, I could not. It's so interesting how life worked out, that life brought me these supplements when I was in the mentality. I was in, like, the broke mentality, and
Mm-hmm.
so I just, even though I wanted to get healthy, I wouldn't let anything come into my existence. And so even though I heard it, I judged it. I said, "Oh, that sounds too expensive. I can't afford to do that." Or it's some people might think, "Oh, it's not going to work," or "I've tried everything." And then it came into my life again. And that time my husband was like, "No, no, 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 we are trying this." And thank God, because
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have written it off. I think I was still in that mentality, like, "Oh, we can't afford that. Supplements sound expensive." And thank God my husband pushed us to do it, because it was affordable. We were able to fit it in our budget. It made a huge difference. And I mean, we could talk for hours about this, but we're not getting the trace minerals we need from our food anymore, because of the farming practices that have happened over the last 100 years. And you can Google, nutrient levels over time, in carrots, for example, and tomatoes. Do you remember when we were kids, tomatoes actually tasted like something? Now they taste like cardboard. It's because there's no nutrients left in the soil. And most conventionally grown food, glyphosate, for example, is a mineral chelator, so it binds to the minerals in the soil and washes them away. So our soil is so depleted. A plant can grow hydroponically. A plant doesn't need soil. A
Mm-hmm.
plant can grow with NPK. So those are only three nutrients. We need over 90 nutrients for our body to grow. And if our plant isn't being fed the 77 trace minerals, neither are we. Like they say, "Oh, you want selenium, eat Brazil nuts." Those Brazil nuts can grow in soil void of selenium. They could be no selenium in their soil. The Brazil nut doesn't magically make selenium. We get calcium. If you get calcium from broccoli, it's only because there was calcium in the soil, not because broccoli magically makes calcium. And broccoli
Right.
actually is very high in calcium, and it's one of the most bioavailable forms of calcium. And that's actually the supplements that I take derive their calcium from broccoli. They have a special process where they grow broccoli in mineral rich soil, and then extract the very bioavailable calcium from broccoli. Because it is one of the most bioavailable ways, it's more bioavailable than cow's milk, and the only way there's calcium in the cow's milk is if the cow is fed a mineral rich diet. And so we need to be fed a mineral rich diet. I've never met anyone that didn't have at least one symptom of mineral deficiency. If you have problems falling asleep, or staying asleep, that's a mineral deficiency. Muscle cramps, muscle twitches, that's if you have brain fog, if you can't think clearly. These are all signs of mineral deficiency. Digestive issues. So I'm so happy that I found this, and that it's led me on this path. And I'm thrilled to have been here today to be interviewed. It's been fun being in
Well,
the hot seat.
it is. It's so exciting, and you've just done such an amazing service to bring all this information to the population. And our hopes is that the more and more that we educate people, right, that the paradigm that that you can just take a drug to fix a problem is just going to shift and shift and continue to, more people's minds will be open to a way of getting to real root solutions
Hmm.
to causes that are not really cannot be fixed with just something as simple as a drug that's a synthetic fix. It just doesn't do it. And so we're so grateful to you, Ashley, for being bold and stepping out and creating this amazing podcast that really is bringing so much education to the world, and for being willing to share your story and help others to see the successes that you've had with your family, and your son, who wouldn't be here without these amazing supplements. Really, I mean,
Hmm.
that's don't you think
Oh,
is that true?
absolutely. It's 100% true. I mean, and I tried to change my diet so many times, and it was the supplements 100%. I,
Yeah.
I I know that eating the eggs, for example, I had to get my healthy fats up, but if it wasn't for getting my minerals up and my vitamins up and all the things I was missing, I reversed my polycystic ovarian syndrome, my type 2 diabetes, my chronic adrenal fatigue, my heartburn, my high blood pressure. My husband reversed his AFib, uh, his arthritis, high blood pressure. He had, emotional mood swings that got regulated, resolved. And that's just the two of us, right? That's just my husband and myself. And I've seen countless other people. My friend who had a genetic, disorder for over 60 years of her life, resolved that. So this is epigenetics. This is the body can, even though it has a quote unquote genetic issue, epigenetics means that genes turn on and off in the presence or the absence of nutrition, and that's what my friend had. Her ichthyosis went away in the presence of the raw building blocks it needed to turn on certain gene processes. And Jen, I had you on my show last summer. I cannot believe
Right.
it's been over a year, but you had symptoms of Lyme and symptoms of fibromyalgia, and also fatigue,
Chronic fatigue,
and
big time chronic fatigue.
you reversed
Digestive
that.
issues. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. My life is nothing like it used to be. I mean, I am a different person. And the biggest, shift. And of course, I'm fine tuning, like you, learning, the dosages and how much, you know what I mean? The foods, I'm still fine tuning, but I don't want to go a day without making sure that I have those 90 essential nutrients, because it literally is like driving a car that's fully, ready to go versus, dragging. Um, and of course, after being on the supplements for as long as both of us have, you can be a little bit more flexible, but in the beginning, you wouldn't have caught me without my, 3 doses a day. I mean, I wouldn't go I was so there. It's just, when something brings you life, you don't want to be without it. I mean, it's just really that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity, continue to have the opportunity to help individuals, find a program that's going to meet their nutritional needs at such a fundamentally foundational level. It's very different than even working for me. I mean, I've seen almost 20 different naturopaths in my life, and it's very different. The approach that this particular program has, it's foundational. So
Mm-hmm.
naturopaths were working with me on, spot treating the things that they found or that showed up in blood work, which meant much didn't. A lot for me didn't even show up. It was like they didn't even really know what was wrong. A lot of times, I would have my thyroid tested, it came out completely normal. I had my blood sugar tested, came out completely normal, but I still manifested symptoms of, like you mentioned, your husband, or you rather, had to eat every 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Most nights I would have to get up in the middle of the night and eat before I
Oh.
started on this. I mean, I remember being with my mother for 2 months. When my grandma passed, we stayed together at her house and we were together for 2 months. And almost every night I was up eating, and my mother was very concerned. She was like, wow, this is very odd.
And
Um,
you are thin, like you are
yep,
you don't like have an
right.
ounce of fat on you.
Well, I
Um,
have a little, I mean, I wasn't, there was a point actually when I was really sick where I only weighed 90 pounds,
oh my
and my
gosh.
sort of normal weight is 125, and I couldn't eat at all. So I had major digestive breakdown. I had major, even organs starting to have organs shut down, and they didn't actually know why. And anyway, long story short is that, even though I was working with different naturopaths and I was taking a lot of different supplements, they were supplements to kind of like kill the limes, okay, that they thought I had. They were supplements they were very like, almost like somebody would use a drug. And
Mm-hmm.
not to say that it was bad. I mean, I don't know. I still don't know because I felt so bad. I felt so bad, even though I was taking all of these supplements. I had no energy whatsoever. And then when I introduced the formulations that were so bioavailable and so formulations that were balanced in a way that the body knew what to do with, immediately it was right about the same time, 5 days into the program. I think you mentioned the 5 days when
Mm-hmm.
woke up at 5:30. I had that exact same experience. I woke up at 5:30 in the morning on the fifth day, which is so funny. And it was exactly, and I wasn't like I wanted to get up and run a marathon, but I woke up with a clarity and a lucidity that I had just not had before. And I knew right then that there was something to this, you know
Mm-hmm.
and it's been, and I remember when you and I first spoke about it, it was something I just knew. You just kind of, sometimes when you just fall into something, like you said, it came to you one time and then it came again, and it's just, I trust that the people who really are struggling out there that don't, maybe they've tried supplementing and they think they're doing all the right things, just like both of us had done, but they just haven't quite hit the mark, that we have a way to help people with something that clearly is in a different caliber of consistently getting results for people.
Mm-hmm.
And the combination of eliminating the things that we know to be keeping people from absorbing and the body utilizing things, in addition to giving them the supplements that are so bioavailable, we really do see fast results, not only in people feeling better, but I get reports of people, wow, did you know I lost 30 pounds? I mean, I'll hear back from people in a couple months, and if I and I'm just like, and this wasn't them trying to lose 30 pounds. Some people have to try and they have to do other things, but sometimes just being on the basic baseline, getting the nutrification where they were having to eat every 45 minutes, or maybe a lot more food, that concept of cribbing or pica, where we're just eating to get nutrition out of food, but it's not there, so we just keep eating. uh, you know Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
it's an amazing journey to be able to see what happens with the body when it actually gets the nutrients that it was designed to get, and just that this doctor figured out the actual formulations of things that the body was after tons of research. Of course, he's been around doing this kind of research for 40 years, so it's quite a blessing to be able to take his research and the incredible mission of getting people free of disease, unnecessarily dying too early, being victim to drugs and surgery, and living just a very poor quality of life, to being able to do something so simple as to put back into the body what it originally was designed to get, that just simply is missing from our food
Mm-hmm.
sources, eliminate those things that we know in the food sources to be causing a problem, and watch people have really amazing turnaround, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, even. I mean, it really makes a difference when you feel better. It's like,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I
Right.
feel like I got my life back.
Mm-hmm.
And So it's just, and now to be able to turn around and help other people, just like, like you are so passionate about getting this information out. It's pretty cool. So
You know what? Your husband, who he's not, how do I say, as strict on the program. When I first met him, he had a tremor, and he had a tremor his whole life. Right? He's in his what, like 60s, and his hands were
yep,
shaking, and
yep.
he's been like an engineer and a carpenter, and he always works with his hands, but he'd just sit there and his hands would shake, and I saw it, and then he wasn't even taking all the supplements. He was still eating gluten. He was still doing tobacco. He was still like he was not following. He wasn't being religious like you and I are. He was just being a
But
regular husband who ended up taking one of the supplements, which is the multi-mineral supplement, and his tremor went away. And I remember him telling me that, and I was like, I didn't believe him. Because I was like, there's no. You've had this tremor for over 50 years, and you just I know you're still doing tobacco, and you're still like eating crappy food, and you're still eating gluten. And he took one supplement, and I don't even think he took it all the time. And I don't even think he took it like, in the right dose. I just know he took it, and his tremor, his 50 plus year hand tremors completely went away.
right.
I mean, that was so cool that it was like, it didn't even have to do everything or like be totally religious, and he got a really cool result.
Right. And certainly when he has been more disciplined about getting off gluten, he lost his gut, his belly.
Mm-hmm.
He used to have a big belly on
Yeah, he
him.
looked like Santa Claus, and now he doesn't.
Right.
now
Right.
now he
And
looks
now,
like Jesus.
exactly. Well, and the beard and hair, and that doesn't hurt. But yeah. But yeah, no. So it is true that, I mean, I had one person that I've worked with quite closely who told me, she was on the supplements, I think, for probably about a year and a half before she decided to get real serious about the diet. And when she eliminated gluten and then went to eliminate sugar, those two things, she kind of let me know that, I was losing she said about 50% of the benefit was what she noticed. So she was
Mm.
still getting a lot of benefit from being on the supplements. She used to have chronic urinary tract infections every month, chronic urinary tract infections, terrible acne, just lots of different symptoms that went away when she stopped with the supplements. But her energy and her feeling like she was getting more out of the supplements, she said, increased by about 50% when she actually took the diet pretty seriously.
So
So that was
her UTIs stopped when she removed. She was already taking the supplements, but when she removed sugar and gluten, which gluten is in barley, wheat, and rye. And then there's a similar protein that's in oats. So we typically say barley, wheat, rye, and oats. So she cut out those grains, cut out sugar. I was already on the supplements, and her chronic UTIs stopped.
Well, it was what she would do before she stopped the sugar and all that kind of stuff was she would just triple up on one of the supplements that's higher in the antioxidants and the vitamin C and some of the vitamins. She would triple up on that if she ever felt a urinary tract infection coming on, and she was able to completely stop it from happening. But to keep that underlying chronic, like it's at the door knocking, when she
Mm-hmm.
eliminated the sugar and more of the glutens was when I think she felt like she had more. It wasn't like, how when you're eating a food that is hard on your system, like you mentioned, you have this kind of underlying, maybe I'm going to eke toward a sore throat, or
Mm-hmm.
these slight headaches. There's these sort of slight things that people are living with that they think is just maybe normal, or I just have that. And oftentimes those things come from this chronic level of inflammation, or the body reacting chemically to something that it's really subtle and it's
Mm-hmm.
low level. And when we get enough of that stuff going on, then obviously it breaks something, and we get into more of an acute situation. But really, so anyway, she had great results just on the supplements, and but she was able to lose more weight and, just basically take her well-being up a whole nother notch by getting serious on the diet as well. So, I always encourage everybody, I give them an option. I say, you're going to get a lot more out of the supplements if you will eliminate these 12 foods, because your absorption of them, like you're talking about the gut, is just huge. And so anyway, I love working with people where they're at. I love coaching and supporting them and being a cheerleader for them and working with them in a way that, is going to be consistently and ongoingly successful. And that's why I love the one-on-one coaching that we offer at takeyoursupplements.com. And, by the way, we do that complimentarily at this point. There isn't a charge for it. People just order their supplements and they pay for that. And, we don't charge for the coaching and getting them set up, and we help them with free shipping. And it's quite a wonderful blessing to be able to be in service in that way. So thank you for the opportunity to, thanks for being willing to be interviewed, on your own show. I think that's awesome. And I'm sure your listeners are kind of like, wow, finally we get to pull back the curtain and hear what's going on. So
well, thank you. Yeah, I'm not perfect. I just do my best, and I'm like anyone else. I just really, really want to continue growing my health, because I knew what it was to not have health. It was like the rags to riches, but for health. And so now I'm building my health, and it's just very interesting. I'm learning things at every corner. But what I know for sure is if we are missing nutrients, if you're missing your trace minerals, there's no exercise or diet or drug that's going to fix that. I met a woman, she's a nurse. She was bedridden from MS, from multiple sclerosis, okay? I met her. She got on this protocol that was designed by this doctor that created the supplements that we're both on, and I met her a month later, and she was walking and out of pain, not on any pharmaceutical drugs. And she was bawling her eyes out, so inspired. She said, I love being a nurse. I love helping people. And I was so devastated when I was diagnosed with MS that I could no longer, she couldn't walk. She was bedridden. She couldn't help people anymore. She couldn't do her job. And these supplements reversed that. And I lived in a world where I thought that MS was permanent, or maybe it goes into quote unquote remission with a bunch of, drugs and, procedures or injections. And this doctor says, no. Cause he was a pathologist before he was a naturopathic physician. And he goes, look at what causes MS, Parkinson's, and Lou Gehrig's disease are all caused by dementia. Most forms of dementia. There's one form of dementia that's actually a B vitamin deficiency, but most forms of dementia, like Alzheimer's, they're all diseases of the nervous system, and they all are caused by the same nutrient deficiencies. And he reverses it because he goes to the root cause of, well, what nutrient deficiency causes this illness, and then he reverses that. And so I've seen people go from wheelchair to walking, from being on drugs to no longer being on drugs. From being sick to being healthy, from being diagnosed with genetic diseases that they're going to have their whole life to no longer having those diseases. So I've seen this so many times that when I see someone suffering from an illness, like, I know that's suffering. I have been there, and I just want to help as many people as possible. So that's why I'm doing the Learn to Health podcast. I know this has been like a really long interview. Jen, congratulations. This is your first time doing an interview.
That's right.
And it was a lot of fun, and I hope it helps a lot of people. Please, if this episode has touched you or inspired you, please share it with someone who is sick and suffering, and let's help as many people as we can, because we can. And I love the service that you provide, that for free, you talk to people for hours, and you help them to dial in their diet and dial in their supplements, and you help them order the supplements and get it to fit in their budget and get the right, design the right program for them, and that you sit down with them and really you care, and that you want to make a big difference in their life because you've got your life back. And so I applaud you for the work you do, and I'm really excited to have spent some time today, hopefully touching a lot of people's lives.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Enjoy what you heard today on your episode of the Learn to Health podcast. Did something move you, inspire you? Did you get great information that's going to change your life? Awesome. That's exactly what I'm here to do, is to help you gain your health back. Please turn around and share this. If this is something that's helped you in any way, share this with those you love. Love the Learn True Health podcast and want to support us? Awesome. You can go to takeyoursupplements.com and you can support us that way. You'll get access to amazing supplements that are just really great quality for a great price. And there'll be someone on the other end of the line to help you pick out your supplements that are right for you. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Or join our membership, learntruehealth.com/join. That's another great way to support our podcast, support our movement, and you'll be supporting yourself. Gain more information, wonderful videos, wonderful trainings, and you'll also be able to share those with those you love as well. So go to learntruehealth.com/join. Want something fun for free? Go to learntruehealth.com, and right there on the front page, you'll see where you can get our free cookbook. I spent a lot of time making it, and it was so much fun. It's really delicious, healthy recipes. And you can also get our 7-day doctor course. Right there, it's 7 days of naturopathic videos sent right to your inbox, and you can learn from top naturopaths on how to gain health naturally. So that's takeyoursupplements.com for wonderful supplements. learntruehealth.com/join to join our awesome membership, which is only open for a limited time. You can get our free healthy cookbook, and you can also get for free 7 days of wonderful naturopathic videos sent to you. Just go to learntruehealth.com and you'll see it right there on the front page. Thank you so much for being a listener, and thank you for sharing and helping others. Let's spread this information and turn this ripple into a tidal wave.